Hi, I'm EJ Harper and welcome to the second of my top tips on writing for audio. Now the first tip was all about reading your work aloud and being prepared to amend it so that it lands on the listener's ear in the best possible way. The second tip focuses on a very specific point around that, and that is the use of dialogue tags and how you might need to amend them for the listening experience. So when it comes to dialogue tags, I tend to very much use said, she said, he said, they said, rather than the more elaborate tags or the more descriptive tags such as she whispered, she shouted, she yelled, she murmured. I'll use them sparingly, but by and large, I'm using said. Now, when you read, words like said, he said, she said, they said are purely signposts. And actually what happens to the reader is that they stop noticing those words because it's much more about the content of what was said. So the word said almost becomes invisible. It's purely a navigational tool. However, once you start reading out loud or listening to something aloud, you'll notice that word because it's repeated and repeated. And if you hear something like, hello, she said, hello, he said, how are you, she said, I'm fine, he said, it just sounds ridiculous. Now, that's not a great example because actually it's not going to look that great on paper either, but it's just to illustrate the point that actually you can be very, very sparing with dialogue tags when it comes to audio. And I actually, initially my technical editor, so the audio editor, was calling me up and saying, I think we can lose this dialogue tag, what do you think? And I'd listen to it and say, yeah, that's right, we don't need it, it's not necessarily, it's just added information that isn't helping the listener. And then eventually I just said to him, you know what, take them out. If you think the dialogue tags are excessive, sorry, if you think they're excessive and they're getting in the way and they're distracting you from the narrative, then you're the listener, remove them. So he took out quite a lot of dialogue tags in the end. So that would be my second tip. Really listen to your dialogue tags and notice when they're starting to become repetitive to the ear. It might look fine on paper, but it might not work as an audio. And that's it for top tip number 2.